Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into the Nvidia earnings. Who do you want to dive deeper in than Dan Ives?
No better person right now.
That's our guy. I mean, he's getting geared up for Penn State, Nevada this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But he's probably focusing a little bit here on Nvidia. Hey, Dan, I thought these numbers were darn good, but I know there's the law of large numbers. I know there's a whole thing about expectations. Give us your take on these Nvidia numbers, Dan.
I thought they were robust. And I think to some extent, when you factor China in, they actually beat expectations, especially when you look at the outlook. I think this is a stock that's up today. And I think it further validates what we obviously been talking a lot, with you and the team about the AI story now playing out into the next stage of growth. This is bullish, in my opinion.
Dan, what was your takeaway here as it relates to a lot of the spending here, CapEx?
I think it just shows there's one chip in the world fueling the AI revolution. It's led by Godfather of AI, Jensen Nvidia. And you look what's happened on CapEx, it's just continuing to accelerate. And then you factor in China, that could be 50 billion. I mean, and Jen's talking about the 50% growth. I think this is just now, it's showing the next phase of the AI revolution is now starting to play out, especially when you combine it with hyperscalers and everything we've seen from Palantir, now Snowflake, MongoDB. The use cases are expanding.
Dan, flesh out for us the whole China situation. Where is Nvidia today vis-a-vis China? And how do you think this is going to play out over the coming quarters with their H20 chip?
Yeah, Paul, look, they're caught in the middle between U.S. and China, but the reality is Jensen's 10% politician, 90% CEO. And Trump administration knows biggest chip on the poker table is Nvidia. So as this all plays out, it's a pay-for-play model. They're going to have access to China, even if it's restricted. And that's going to add an increment of what, 2, 5, 6 billion per quarter. And even though Beijing telling maybe these companies you don't want to buy Nvidia chips, that's like telling a kid not to eat candy. Big tech in China wants Nvidia chips.
So, I mean, as we dig in here into the data, what we saw from the earnings report, what is your takeaway in terms of what they were able to see specifically in terms of data center AI demand? That's definitely something that's been in focus here with this report.
Yeah, look, I think it's noise in terms of any quote unquote miss, because when you factor China, it's basically over 1.5 billion feet. They're seeing demand accelerate. I mean, no region is not showing acceleration. And now you're starting to factor in what's going to happen in the Middle East, what's going to happen in China, what's going to happen in the rest of the world. And you're really talking about one chip that's fueling it. So when I look at Nvidia, I think there's a $5 trillion market cap potentially by year end or early 26. And it's just further validation for the AI revolution thesis.
So talk to us, Dan, about their customer base and the concentration of their customers. And I know they want to broaden out their customer base, maybe to sovereigns and to other net buyers out there. How do you think that's going to evolve?
Well, big tech's going to continue to dominate as a quote unquote customer base in terms of the concentration. But now as sovereigns play out, as enterprises play out, you're going to see more and more people, obviously start to understand that this revolution is not just big tech. It's about other sort of regions starting to play. And there's only one chip in the world fueling it, and that's Nvidia.
So taking a step back here, Nvidia wrapped up all of the Mag 7 earnings here. What were your thoughts more broadly overall this earnings season?
I mean, I think this is a bullish tech earnings season. We've talked about it. The validation that the AI revolution hit its next stage of growth. It's spreading second, third, fourth derivatives. Now, granted, look, Nvidia is the Scotty Scheffler of tech, okay? But what you're starting to see now play out is those derivatives, the spending, the multiplier, it's all happening. And I think that's just bullish going into year end in terms of tech stocks. And I think this bull market has 2 to 3 year run still left.
Dan, so as you talk to institutional investors, how are they viewing this 15%, government fee that the U.S. government may impose on some of these chip sales to China? How's that being viewed by investors?
Look, it's unusual. It's a pay-for-play model. But guess what, investors, it's new rules of the road, right? Big tech's starting to understand how that works. But when it comes to Nvidia, okay, pay 15%. That's breadcrumbs. You could raise prices 15%. You need access to China. You can't give Huawei on a silver platter that market. So as it continues to play out, I think investors have accepted they want Nvidia open access to China because that continues to be the golden goose that Jensen's going after.
Dan, I want to quickly go right back to what we were talking about here when it relates to data centers. How concentrated is NVIDIA's revenue right now? Or the top 5 hyperscalers still the overwhelming majority of data center sales?
Look, it's concentrated, but that's just the nature right now. Big tech's 360 billion, but it's going to spread. Sovereigns, enterprises, rest of the world. NVIDIA is going to continue to own that. So concentrated today. But you look at 3, 4, 5 years ago, that concentration will continue, I think, to diminish as more players get into AI. But there's one chip fueling it, and it's NVIDIA.
Dan, how do you think about the competitive environment for NVIDIA here? Is it AMD? Is it Huawei? Is it others we don't know about at the moment?
Yeah. Look, Lisa's suing AMD, clearly competition. I think that we continue to be bullish on that in terms of getting more and more piece of the pie. Huawei is a competitor, but that's the whole reason that you don't want to just give them full access to China because that will help them narrow the gap. We're bullish, obviously, on Broadcom and others. And I think, look, as this plays out, NVIDIA is years ahead of any other competition. And even when you hear talk about, U.S. government and obviously, SoftBank investing in Intel, I mean, Intel is, so many years behind. They continue to really have just a massive uphill battle. And that's why NVIDIA is top of the mountain.
All right, Dan, your Penn State Nittany Lions open the season Saturday, 3:30 p.m. on the CBS television network and Paramount Plus against Nevada, 43.5-point favorites. How do you feel about your Nittany Lions this year?
I mean, look, I was at practice last week, State College. I told you, I think this is the year. I think we win the Natty. We have some tough games, Oregon, Ohio State, but I think Big Ten continues to hold the mantle. I like Al Singleton and Penn State. I think we'll be holding the trophy in January.
I like the call. Nice and clear and confident. Dan Ives, Global Head of Technology at Wedbush Securities. We appreciate getting a few minutes of Dan's time here today on NVIDIA and Big Tech.